I am Niveditha.indrajit in conversation with Zooni Dash. And I met her through Global Citizen Year because I decided to opt in to participate as a member or a parent or a host parent. And eventually we met. So, Zooni, before I met you in Global Citizen Year, and I think I fell in love with the way you are, and we met here and there sometime. Who is Zooni and how did she happen to come all the way here, starting from when she was born?
So, wow, thank you. That's takes me back. So I was born exactly 32 years ago. Tomorrow is my birthday.
Oh, wow.
I'll turn 32.
Oh,
So I was born 32 years ago in a small town in Orissa. But I was actually supposed to be born in Jammu because my father was in the Air Force. He was posted in Jammu, but my mother had come. But anyway, the reason I'm saying this to you is because my father says always that I was given to him as a gift, because when I was born, my father was doing a training in the southern part of India. And my mother was not supposed to be in this town. She had gone for her brother's wedding. And then somehow I was supposed to be born in May, and then it turned out to be April, and my father just felt like he had to be with my mother. So he reached the town that the train left him, and then he asked people, and somehow something within him, that's what he says, told him that go to that hospital. And that time, this is, of course, no mobile phones. So he somehow landed up in the hospital, asked the doctor, whoever he saw, where's the maternity ward? And he found out that my mother was admitted. So my mother saw him and she went in to give birth. So my father says that I'm like a gift that was given to him. And that's how my life has been. I think my parents have treated me like I was a gift. Not just me, I think my brother also. I've had a very blessed childhood where there was ample amount of love. Grew up for the first 10 years of my life in Air Force with my parents. And then my father decided to leave the defense services and we moved to Orissa, which is where I'm from originally. And I learned the language because before that, Hindi used to be the first language. So that was again a shift.
Yeah.
Spent almost 10 years in Orissa, and then 12 years ago, I went to do my master's in Calcutta. That was me leaving home and going to do my master's. And then after I finished my master's in 2010, which was again 10 years ago, I went to this place called Panchkani to volunteer with an organization called Initiatives of Change, which basically says, be the change you want to see in the world. And that's in a way all we need to do, and we need to follow what our inner voice or what our inner guidance tells us. And so I volunteered there till January 1st last year, full-time. I was a full-time volunteer for 8 years. And then in December 2018, I was offered a job with Global Citizen Year. I was at home at that time. And I thought, why not? Let's give it a try. I've never had a job in my life. What's there to lose? And that's how I landed up at GCUY, and I've been working, and yeah, that's been life in a nutshell.
Yeah. So tell me what got interested in Global Citizen Year.
So Global Citizen Year is all about, I think, creating dynamic leaders who are ready to push themselves and try something that they have not generally tried. And I think as when I was growing up, and I had the opportunity to go and volunteer for 8 years, which was something absolutely out of my comfort zone. And even though I was not a 17-year-old, as our fellows are when they come to country, this changed me. Being out of my comfort zone in a place where I had no idea what was happening. So Global Citizen Year, as I know, is about young 17, 18-year-olds coming to a different country and spending 7 months doing a leadership program, staying with host families, and this Brandon stayed with you. And so when I was offered this job, it seemed like something that could actually make a difference in someone's life, and not just in one person's life, but a difference that could have ripple effects.
Mm.
And I have always wanted to do something that will make things better in some way. And this seemed very right. And I was going to work with my friends. So the team in India is a team of friends for me. I have known almost all of them for many years now. So I think it's amazing when you can work with your friends. So I said yes to it. Yes.
So, like when I first went to, I mean, I just saw Global Citizen here when Sacred Space announced it as a WhatsApp. And I applied, and then I didn't really know that I will, as a person, get selected to be part of a family. I wasn't sure if my husband would be on the thing. He was like, "Are you sure?" He was very doubtful in the first go. I said, "No, this is my way of having a second child, beating the pregnancy part of it." But then it was really a journey, I mean, having a total stranger walk into your home and then become part of your family. And also, I think it wasn't very easy because he was a teenager. And I don't feel I'm very good with kids, even though I have a kid. And especially slightly older ones, in the eagerness to give freedom or, be that space, I forget to take my space. So yeah, it was really a learning experience, and I think thank you for the support in the last few months that we were there.
I mean, we are just so blessed with all the families we get. So it's, I think opening your home to someone, like you said, is not easy. So
Yeah.
thank you for doing that. It is, I think that's the biggest gift we can give to all these young people coming from different countries.
Yeah.
The love of food. So yeah, thank you.
I'm actually sitting in the room where Brandon used to stay, and if you see the wall.
Yeah, I was wondering. I'm like, this is not the living room.
Yeah, no, this is where Brandon stayed, and this is the place.
Wow.
So what else do you do? Like, I know that Global Citizen here has a 9-month program or 7-month program. Right?
7 months in country.
7 months, right? Rest of the 7 months, what do you guys do?
I think we look for host families. I think that takes a lot of our time. Generally looking for families.
With the current situation, is the plan on for next year?
No. So the program was suspended for this, 2021.
Yeah, I think they had to leave early, right? Brandon was saying that.
They left on the 17th of March. Between 16th to 19th is when they left.
Yeah.
They were supposed to move on the 4th of April. And then just, I think, 10, 15 days ago, the decision was taken that we won't have a program this year because it doesn't look like things are going to settle down very soon. So we're not having a program this year. We'll have a program next year again.
I feel damn lucky then.
Yeah. We had already started looking for host families. So this year we were like on top of it. We started looking for host families from January. Already found a few host families. We had started doing visits, and then all of this happened. But we have. I think people remain. So yeah.
What else do you like, Zooni? What else do you like to do? Where do you?
I love
when you say be the change. What else do you? Yeah, I see the plants. They're so beautiful.
I have more than 40 plants in my house. I have a one apartment, and I have so they take up a lot of my time. I mean, I'm in quarantine and lockdown with my plants, and I think they're back to the present, just taking care of them because it's getting hot. What else do I do? So with Initiatives of Change, it's a global movement which started on paper. It started almost in India almost 50 years ago. But in the theory or in the philosophy of it, it started more than 100 years ago. And so it is this simple thing of, like I said, starting the change. So I was introduced to this concept or this idea many years ago. I was, 15 years old when I had done a 4-day conference where people were talking about what's happening everywhere and then urging all of us to look within and seeing if there's anything that's inside that we see a projection of outside. And I remember I had gone there with my brother, with whom I had not spoken with for almost 2 years, and I was 16. But we had a fight and we had not spoken. And that is where I spoke with my brother. But I think the major thing that happened with me was, even though I knew these ideas, and these ideas kind of stand on standards or values. So any value that you hold close to. So for me, for example, like love is a very big value. Unselfishness is a very big value. Honesty is a very big value. But the question that is put to us is, look within. If I hold honesty, or if I hold love very close to me, then to see that if everybody in my country became the way I imagine India to be, will I, the way I live my life right now, be able to be a part of that country? And I was like, I have all these amazing things that I want to see in others. I really wish people would love. I really wish people would not discriminate. I wish for a loving world. But when I looked within, I saw how in different spaces in my life, I was falling, I was making mistakes, I was consciously doing things which were against these values that I held very close to. And I was like, if this country is made, or if a place is there where all these people hold these values highest, I would not be able to be a part of that world, because I am failing, or I am not doing something that is right. And so it gave me an opportunity to look within, and to also do something to correct it. So one of the things I did, or I realized, was that even though I was a part of this movement, which is about being the change and everything, I have a master's degree from Calcutta Jadavpur University, and the only reason I have it is because I had 4 semesters in 2 years, and I cheated in all the 4 semesters. And that was because I felt if I did not cheat, I would fail. Like, there was no way I could have passed. It was very difficult. And so when I was given this opportunity to actually sit in silence and to look within and to ask myself if I am being an honest person, I thought that, it's so easy. And this is 2011, when India had the Anna Hazare movement for anti-corruption. And I was like, it's so easy to point fingers at politicians or anyone and say that, this person is wrong and they're corrupt and they've taken so much money. But where do I stand? Like, I have done corruption in my own little capacity. That is all I needed at that moment. I needed answers from someone. And what I did was wrong. I did it for all the 4 semesters. So if today someone asks me about something, I don't remember. And that's because my foundation is cheating. And so when I realized that, it was a big shock in a way. I'm like, I didn't even think of it as cheating, as something wrong. And so the idea is to not live with that guilt. When you realize that you've done something wrong, to do something about it. So the moment I realized, I actually sat down, and I remember I wrote a letter to my university, so to my head of department, to my professors, telling them that I had cheated and I was very sorry. And I told them that the reason I cheated was because I thought the course was very difficult, very theoretical, and I just couldn't push myself to do it. And I was very scared, to be honest. I really thought that, they'll call me, they'll take the certificate back. And this was just not even a year after I had done my master's.
Yeah.
And amazingly, my HOD responded saying that, Zooni, I know all my students cheat, but you are the first person who's ever confessed. And she said that these are the small things which make us a better person. And this was one of the first things that kind of gave me the courage to stand up for what I believe in. And since then, it's been a journey. It's been 10 years of doing different things. But what it really helped, I think, in a bigger scale and in small words, it helped me to not be it helped me to see beyond myself. So over the last 8 years, I have been deeply involved with the northeast of India. And that's where I have spent most of my time till I joined GCY. I used to go and stay with friends in Nagaland and in Meghalaya mostly. And my wish is to build bridges between the northeast and the mainland. And that's what I've been deeply involved in. That's what I'm passionate about. So I'm going back to doing that very soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about your journey at that point of time, and what your experiences were with the families that you stayed, or the kind of environment, and what impacted you most? Especially when you're saying you're bridging the mainland to Nagaland. Yeah. If it requires a bridge, what is the stratification or separation we are using?
So one of my first experiences was, I knew that India has people who look different. especially because my father was in the Air Force. I was blessed with that knowledge at least. But I was not aware of the intensity of the hurt people still feel or the things people say to each other. And so in 2012, I had gone for this big international conference to Nagaland in a very small village. And I remember we were invited to this one village for a feast. And a very old man stood up in that village and he started saying how he didn't feel like he was a part of India and how the Indian government had done wrong and the Indian defense had done wrong. And we were 73 or 74 participants, around 30 or 40 from India. I was the only one who was from the mainland, who was not from the Northeast. The others were all from the Northeast or from other countries. So when all of this was being said, I remember sitting there and we were all asked to dress up traditionally. So I remember sitting there with wearing a very, chamkila, salwar kameez and bade jhumke. And I had my head down and I was like, but I was filled with anger. I'm like, why are you saying this in front of so many foreigners? For me, it was like, घर की बात घर में रखो, आपको बाहर बोलने की क्या जरूरत है? But then as I was leaving that place, and I just wanted to leave, I was like, I do not want to be in this village anymore. And as I was leaving, I was somehow reminded of another story from my past, but of this thing that if I'm a part of this man's pain, then I can also be a part of this man's relief or of his peace. So I came back and I remember just sitting down and I don't know, I just cried. I just kind of felt so much pain in my heart. And I wrote a letter to the village, and I sent it with some friends. And 2-3 days later, this man who was 70 plus, he along with another person came to meet me, and he shook my hands and he said that, Zooni, when you go back to your village, tell your father that there's someone in this part of the world who really respects you. And that happened. A few days later, I left Nagaland. I came back to Orissa. I was on my way back to Panchkani. And my friends from Northeast Nagaland called me saying that my photo was on the front page of the newspaper there, saying, girl from Orissa asks for forgiveness. And I had really thought then that, this was it. Like, you felt something, you asked for forgiveness, front page newspaper, what else? Like, people are healed. But of course, like not even 0.001% of the people or the population has really felt that. And the reason I feel that there is a need, yes, there is a need for a bridge. I think our ignorance is massive. And I feel a lot of what happens, a lot of discrimination that happens is because of ignorance. And I'm not blaming any one side at all. I think a lot of, I remember one of my friends calling me when I was there, and she called me and she was like, where are you? And I said, I'm in Nagaland. And she was like, oh, am I making an international call? Will I be charged more? And I was like, but that's it. I mean, that is it. We don't talk about it. We don't, it's this whole people who look different, people who look like chinkies. And I think this needs to break. People need to, we need to see that there's this amazing group of people who stay in the most amazing part of India. And so over the last years, what I've been doing is I go and I stay with these people. Not just myself, I have most of the time gone with a group of friends. So I used to work as a team and we would go and do programs. So what we used to be involved in really going and taking the issues that are there within the tribes or wherever, I mean, I shouldn't even say just there, but wherever we go, like my apartment, really sitting together with the people who are there, whose hearts are there, and really asking them, what are some things that, and not just problems, I would say, but right now talking about problems. I feel answers come when people sit in silence, and we don't have answers. I mean, I have no idea what's happening in your life. Who am I to give you an answer? So what we invite people to do is really sit in silence and to search, to ask the right questions, and to have that space created where people can trust each other and actually say what they really need. And so this has been my journey. I, along with a very close friend of mine from Nagaland, we have been specially working together. We have gone to different places and told our stories together because we look very different. And yet we are such good friends. So a few years ago, we were given the opportunity to go to Lebanon to share our story. we actually spoke for 10 minutes, and I still laugh about it, that we flew to Lebanon to speak for 10 minutes. But that is it. I mean, we realized that our friendship is so deep, so intense, so pure, so fulfilling, that we do not need to keep it just to ourselves.
Yes.
And so every time we meet a group of people, we actually stand up and we just say how much we love each other. And I think that kind of, overflows, because she 2 years ago came to my house, and for her, she's not had a very good experience with the mainland also, because of her family history, and she herself has experienced things which were unfortunate. And for her to come and stay with my family, where my father was in the Air Force, was a big step. And to go back with her heart filled with love. And for me now to feel more at home in Nagaland than I feel in Orissa. I mean, in Orissa, I feel at home in my home, but not as a state. I hardly know my own state. Not very proud of that, but I hardly know it. But I know Nagaland a lot more. And I feel like, love should not have boundaries. We should be able to just love and share it. So that's really what I do. So there's no structure. I think every time I see somebody from the Northeast, the first thing I think I can do is just give a smile. At times I ask them where they are from, and if I've been there, I tell them how much I love the place, how much I love the food. In fact, my lunch today is Naga. I cooked. So it's that, and I think these small things can make a difference. We don't need to hold a mic always and talk and preach and do things, but it's truly just sharing and telling them how much I love their food makes them go like, how can you love? Like how? So it's
when I was in NCC, I think in graduation, so we had like our NCC teacher was telling us about the Naga regiment. And like one of my friend's brother was in the working alongside Naga regiment at that point of time. So they were talking about how they cook and how they can cook anything that crawls, and if Nagas come and go, you will not even have an evidence that they have been there. So it felt like a very phantom, very powerful, and that whole being in communion with the entire universe, and you just blend in. That was my first impression. And many years fast forward, I think in 2010-11, I worked with someone, and I'd gone to an NHRD network where I met this person from Northeast, and this person again came back and spoke to me and said, I want to talk to you, and we had a conversation. Then he mentioned how he would actually identify every person. When he came in, he wasn't really out there doing the work that he's doing when I met him in a leadership role. He actually met everybody. He would keep notes about everybody and get to know, and anybody comes from his side of the town, he would be like a headman kind of a thing. And he has gathered everybody as one, like under the wing kind of. And that was like tremendous for me. That had a real impact. It's like, how one can actually have someone's back. And he said, even though you're not from my place, I have your back. I was like, wow. So, and now we're talking this. It's as if over the time and space, there is this blip that says, okay, there is something there. That is a connection point. So,
sorry, go ahead, finish.
Yeah, so I guess, when I'm telling you, right, like I love you so much. I don't know why, I just love you so much. And now when you're saying that this is how I feel, it's a recognition of that energy that's expanding and is being felt and acknowledged.
It is mind-boggling at times, how much we can love, like truly, and how much goodness there self that, why do I feel it this way? And it's because I've not closed my eyes. And I think so often we are blinded by what people tell us. And, one of the things I realized was the power of one. It's like, I have been to the Northeast. Nobody from my father has, but then my family has never really traveled, never really stayed with the family in the Northeast. But because I volunteered for so long, and even now, like I said, I cook Naga food, and this friend of mine had come in January and she had got me Naga rice from her sister's field. She had got me Naga ginger, which is a little different from our ginger, and Naga chilies, the Raja mirchas, the spiciest, and I love spicy food. And I have these.
Is that different from the Bhut Jalokia?
No, it's the same thing.
Yeah, oh, okay.
So they call it Raja mircha in Nagaland.
Okay.
So I have these things since then with me in my fridge and like my grocery. And this was my treat. So at times, like, because I stay alone, I don't know what I cook. But like my parents now, they love they love the Nagas, they love the Northeast. I think my parents feel a lot safer when I am in the Northeast with my friends than when I am in the city.
Anywhere else in the world.
And I'm like, they have not even gone there. But because they can see it in me, how much faith I have, how safe I feel, how much I love, that now they love. And I feel like it's this quote that an uncle of ours from Nagaland actually says that hurts not transformed are always transferred.
Yeah.
And
So true.
he talks about it from a tribal thing, but I also feel like even in a family, if my father is not getting along with his brother, then my father would say, don't talk with his kids. And that's hurt that is transferred to us. And the same
Yes.
way, fortunately, I love my cousins and my father loves his brother. But the same way love is transferred, right? I mean, and all of us have the capacity to do that. I mean, if I keep saying a random person about you and how amazing you are, that person would be like, where is this person? I want to meet this person. I already love this person so much. And all of us have that, and it just needs to be given, shared.
Yeah, and one more thing is like I'm really impressed and amazed by the, like when you say you want to go volunteer. Now in the age when most of the parents say, okay, I want my kid to do IIT or IIM or engineer and doctor, and I want to get this job or go abroad. In this world of that, there is still some hope that, you are exploring volunteering, you are exploring a different area, and to all the people who actually don't know, what do you have to say about choices, about volunteering, about uh, making a difference and making it part of your life and everyday living, that it
Um,
becomes mainstream?
Absolutely. So actually, you also don't know this, but I'm leaving my job. 30th is my last day. I'm going back to volunteering. I absolutely love GCY, and yet I realize my heart lies with the Northeast, and so I want to keep doing that. I don't know if there's a God in particular that I believe in. I feel I pray. I pray constantly. I feel I pray to anybody who listens. Very often I feel like the person next to me, if that person makes me feel stronger, that person is God to me. So I pray to literally anyone and everyone. And I remember many years ago, I was told that where God guides, He provides. And so I volunteered for 8 years. And I think in those 8 years, there was this one time when I really felt like I don't have any money, because I didn't have money. Like for the first 2 or 3 years, I think I got 600 rupees a month, which was enough for toothbrush and phone recharges. And for the next years, I got 3,000, 4,000. Towards the end, I started getting 10,000. But I realized that money was never, like, all that money came and it went. We were always taken care of. And I think that's the thing, when you're doing something for someone else, you're just looked after, and it's magical. Like when I look back, it's like not just my needs were taken care of course my needs were always taken care of. We stayed with so many families who at times had everything, at times had nothing. We slept on floors. I've used literally, don't know how to say it in English, but matti mein khoda hua, blue color ka, they had put
Yeah, yeah,
something, and
yeah.
have stayed in
That
that
tarpaulin kind of a thing.
thing. I have stayed in hotels, like if people could afford. So I have experienced like really everything in those 8 years, eating whatever was given to us. And always when we were invited or when we went to do something with people, I think there was just this faith that we are there for each other. And I think that really helps people to reach out, to open their hearts. And that was amazingly helpful. For me personally, even a question I ask now, when I want to buy something, is it something I need or is it something I want? Because I had to ask that question for a very long time because I didn't have the money to buy anything. But that's what I'm saying, like not just my needs, but my wants were taken care of. So I'm crazy about things that smell good. I love perfumes. I'm a sucker for perfumes. But of course, I didn't have money. So what I could buy was a 10 rupee ka agarbatti packet. And I would constantly buy. And every time I saw a new agarbatti packet, I had to buy it. But there were so many friends through the journey who knew I was a volunteer. And people gave, I have received have received secondhand, I appreciate secondhand things so much more now than a new thing. I'm like, you give me half of something, and that's what I like. Anybody's birthday, I would actually go through my things and see what can I give away. And these are values I feel that are so precious now. And so I think my thing is that all of us can live with very little. We don't need a lot. And what the world today really needs is for all of us to reach out to each other and to share and to love. And once we really do that with all our hearts, not wanting anything for ourselves, not having a personal agenda, we are taken care of. And if not now, when?
Yeah. Is it time now?
Especially
yes.
Absolutely. It's always time. Yeah. And it's very exciting. It's amazingly adventurous. You make friends for life. You try exciting food. I mean, people pay for those kind of stuff. We experience that just by opening our hearts and going out there. So.
Thank you so much, Zooni. Thank you so much for sharing all this. And I knew I just made a right call asking you, it's like, I know you keep having meetings and stuff and you keep busy. So I like, that's why I messaged you like, okay, can I ask her? Can I invite her? And I'm really glad I did.
Thank you so much.
Is there anything else you want to say, which I haven't asked a question about?
A few days ago, we had a call with Rajmohan Gandhi, who is the grandson of Mahatma Gandhi. Call him Rajmohan Uncle. And he shared something which I want to share, I want to end the call with maybe. I don't remember his exact words, but he was saying how, just in this time, how things are very different and everybody's struggling. And I think he reminded us of, or he reminded me of two things which I want to share. He said that somebody else's hunger is not, my fear is not important than somebody else's hunger. So do remember that. And the second thing he reminded of was of just to be human. I think this is a time that we need to look beyond anything that kind of breaks us and makes us angry. At times I even feel news, I think it's just filled with things which can make us angry. And anger which is fueled by something that can lead to something is good. But anger which is fueled by discrimination or communal, we need to look beyond that.
Beyond separation.
Absolutely. It has never been the time. I won't even say this is not the time. It is wrong. We are all humans. And one person's mistake or a group of people's mistakes should not become something that we use to generalize.
Yeah.
All of us need to look beyond that.
We need to go beyond generalization. We need to actually be present to what's happening and follow the instinct about being together, having each other's back.
And at least if you don't want to leave your house, don't. But don't fuel it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Zooni. So do I share your details, your contact number? If there's anybody who would like to join you and probably be the change, would you be the true leader?
You can, yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.